So this past Saturday, I was watching the Houston Texans play the Kansas City Chiefs, and I had Tank Dell on my fantasy team. It's the playoffs, so I was watching that thing very closely, and I was so happy to see Tank Dell catch that touchdown early in the third quarter. And eventually, my happiness turned into straight horror when I watched his teammate, Xavier Hutchinson, crash into his knee and his leg just snapped in half. Like, I almost threw up watching it. And I almost threw up in my mouth when they showed the replay of it because it was just so gruesome to watch. Because Tank Dell is very small. He's only like 5'8", 165, maybe 175 pounds. And to just see his kneecap just snap the way that it did, it looked like when you break a toothpick in half. It was one of the most horrific injuries that I've ever seen in all my years watching and playing football, because this isn't the first time I've seen something like this. Because CJ Stroud, immediately when he saw Tank Dell go down, he started praying, and then he goes up close to him and he starts breaking down, starts crying, and you got all these experts, all these hardcore former football players, quote, quote, former football players who saying, man, CJ Stroud got to be tougher. Like, CJ Stroud got to be able to lock in after this. Let me tell you guys something. When you play football, yes, everybody has to have a certain mentality about the game. If one of your teammates gets injured, you got to have a next play mentality. You can't let it affect you mentally. But certain injuries are just hard to get over. I remember my freshman year playing high school football. First day of week ever got passed, by the way. I had my homeboy. We were receivers at the time. We were doing one-on-ones. You know how it is when you do your conditioning, you do your stations, and then you have 45 minutes of individual drills. Then you do team-specific drills. So we doing one-on-ones. Cornerback, wide receiver lines up. You got to get off press coverage. You feel me? Get open, catch the pass. Well, my homie, this is the first time we do one-on-ones in pads. And he goes up, he runs a back shoulder fade route, and he comes back down awkwardly on his left leg, and you just hear, and it was pretty loud too. You just heard, next thing you know, he's on the ground, and his kneecap is on the other side of his leg, and he's crying. He said, coach, and the team and everybody else, including me, we're just looking at this thing horrified. We're just like, oh. Some guys even throwing up, by the way. Some guys are kind of tearing up because it's like, when you see certain injuries like this, where you see a bone sticking out or a joint dislocated in a spot that is not supposed to be, that's not your normal injury. And for certain people, that might be their first time ever seeing a joint or a bone in a place that is not supposed to be. That's unnatural. To see somebody's leg or to see somebody's kneecap pop out of place, it's very traumatizing. I remember I used to know somebody whose kneecap used to pop out of place all the time, and he just used to pop it back in with ease and keep on playing. Y'all ever knew somebody like that? Like, they could pop their shoulder out of place, pop it back in, pop their knee out of place, and pop that thing back in and continue on with their day with no issue? Well, not everybody is built like that. And to see Tank Dell's leg just get split in half, like, it looked like he got split into. It looked like his leg was hanging off his body. That is a scary sight. That is disgusting. And you truly have to play the game of football and witness an injury that severe to understand just horrific of a scene you're looking at. Because looking at it on TV, I promise you, is not the same as looking at it happen in live action. It's really disturbing. This is something that you could only cook up in a horror movie. Now, since this injury has occurred, their head coach, D'Amico Ryans for the Texans, has came out and said that he's done for the season. His kneecap is dislocated, plus he's torn his ACL, and this is the second time that Tank Dell's season has got cut short, especially in the final months, due to friendly fire from a teammate. I don't think that him being small has anything to do with his durability, because all of his injuries have kind of occurred in the same place. When he broke his tibia last year, or his fibula, whatever you call it, tibia, fibula, it came because somebody rolled on his ankle. And this year, he gets injured because his teammate runs into him just trying to make a play. And that's kind of the worst thing that have happened to you as a teammate. You take out and end the season of one of your fellow brothers. And that's what the NFL still is. Like, it's not one of those things that you just witness somebody that you play with get injured. You witness one of your brothers get injured. When you are on the team, everybody that you play with, at least for that season, is your brother. It's a family. That's how that's how you have a good chemistry. Winning football teams look at each other as brothers. So when one person gets injured and they're in severe pain and their leg gets snapped in half, of course they're going to break down. And there's no way that you can look at a scene like that and not have some kind of emotions. And it's kind of hard to snap back after that. I remember right after the ambulance came and got my guy off the ground, stretched him out, and he's off to the hospital. Right after the ambulance leaves off the field, my head coach blows the whistle, and he's like, all right, water break, and we're back at it. And me and all of the other freshmen and a few of the other upperclassmen, we're looking at the coach like, what do you mean? After this water break, we're right back to practice. How the hell are we supposed to practice after we just seen something like that? I just seen my homie's kneecap pop out of place and end up being on the right side of his doggone leg. You mean to tell me it's right back to business after that? Hey, man, that and the way that he broke it down to us, because he saw the look that we had on our face. So after we got water, before we started practice up again, he kind of spent like 5-10 minutes breaking down, because this was the start of fall camp in high school. You know, you normally get your pass like last week, July, and the first 2 weeks of August leading up to the start of school. You head in and, you know, you're playing in pads. And he took that moment to break down, hey, like, when you play this game, there's a chance that you could lose your life doing this. There's a chance that you could have an injury so severe happen to you that you might not have to play again. You know, like, injuries are a part of this sport. And even though they may not happen to you, when they happen to somebody else, the games don't get canceled. You still have to play, and you still have to perform at a high level to win, because overall, what's the point of losing a teammate just to lose the game too? And, you know, that's just what comes with playing this sport. It's not nice. It's not pretty. It's really graphic. This is a gladiator sport. And to see Tank Dell get injured like that, it was a really horrific scene. Now, the Texans signed Diontae Johnson, former Steelers, Panthers, and Ravens wide receiver. And I think that this is probably the best pickup they could have made, because Diontae Johnson has a skill set that's a little bit similar to Tank Dell. Really good route runner, really good in the slot. You can line him up outside as well, but he does have an issue with drops. And he has developed a reputation of kind of being a locker room cancer. So we'll see how this goes. Playing with C.J. Stroud, I think, will kind of help Diontae Johnson from a character standpoint, because if you can't get along with C.J. Stroud, then something is just mentally wrong with you. You feel me? C.J. Stroud is a easy individual to root for, an easy guy to get along with. So they bring in Diontae Johnson. I think that's a great pickup, but we'll see how fast he can learn the playbook, and we'll see how fast they can get him involved in the offense, because, man, they need some severe help with the way that offense has struggled these final 2 months of the season. Because right now it looks like the Texans, from at least at this moment, they're going to be an easy one-and-done playoff team come playoff time. But the injury to Tank Dell was really horrific. It's just something you see off a horror film. And I texted my homie a few days ago after it happened. I told him, you know, I remember when this same injury happened to you. It's just,